Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Sit Down. I'm your host, Mike Recine. I'm joined by super producer Matt Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about, obviously crime-related stuff. I just want to tell a quick story. I went to the bodega last night. I had to walk the dogs. It was late. I was like, Deb, we should watch a movie. She picked Weekend at Bernie's, which isn't like very good. And then I go to the bodega, and the door's locked, and it says any box of cereal $3.50, and I asked the guy for Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and he goes away, and he comes back, and he goes, I can't get the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, it's stuck behind the shelf. And I was like, all right, but I feel like what do we do? Get your fucking stick. Get your bodega stick and
was this the
get
front
my cereal,
bodega?
you fucking immigrant.
Get your shoe shine box.
Yeah, get your shoe shine box. No, it was the one on the corner, Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, they can't be doing shit like that. That'll affect their reputation.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thanks. We can cut this story out.
Sure.
Anna, show favorite Anna Khachiyan's here today. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for not silencing women.
What do you mean?
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm also a super producer now.
Oh yeah.
Girl boss.
And it's easy, right?
It's easy.
It's not too easy though, right?
I can do it in my sleep. It's pretty easy. It's so easy even a woman can do it.
Nice. I had the hardest time this week. Like I recorded an episode with Deb and I had to upload it, and that's tough. That's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mike doesn't know how to do Google Drive at all.
Yeah, Google Drive is a real challenge.
What? What do you upload it? You have to upload it to Google Drive.
I upload it to Google Drive, and then Matt uploads it onto.
He doesn't have any editing software.
Oh, I see.
So he just gives me the files, and I'll level it, and I'll make sure if there's anything crazy where I'm like, hey, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You have a buzzing sound, like where you.
It's processing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I take care of the edit.
Yeah. But that's not hard, right? You figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
It's remarkably easy. Dasha and I switch off.
Okay.
The editing duties. She's the primary recordtress or whatever.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. We have a nice little cottage industry going.
Yeah. Nice.
You guys are like that muffin tablet. The two ex-NFL players have their own muffin shop now with the Surface Pro 2.
Oh, the cupcake shop.
Yeah. The cupcake shop, sorry.
That's a commercial?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you gay?
Nice. Well, so I noticed that. So Anna told me that she had watched the Gotti movie and the John Jr. documentary, Godfather and Son. So I was like, we got to get her in here to hear her take about it, because usually it's Frank Terranova's take on John Gotti that we're hearing. And
what's Frank Terranova's take? You have to bring me up to speed.
Yeah, so he was the original co-host of the show. Right. He likes you a lot. We wanted to get you guys on together, but he's sort of like a how would you describe Frank?
An elusive
recluse.
A Goomba?
Yeah.
A Goomba,
he's kind of a savant,
Yeah.
He likes Gotti a lot. He's a big fan. But we were like, let's have Anna on. Let's dig a little deeper into this relationship.
I'll bring a much needed feminist perspective.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank God.
To the saga of John Gotti Jr. and John Gotti Jr.
Yeah. Because I feel like John Jr. is he's a very sympathetic character. You think you're gonna not like him, and then he's I don't know. It just feels like he was kind of following suit. He just did what his father did. He idolized his father, his very charismatic father. It's like, what else was he gonna do in life?
Yeah, I remember watching I think it was a 60 Minutes interview with him, and he came off as kind of really bizarre and criminal, and had a creepy nervous tick that only guys who hung out in jail have. And he's like, yeah, I told my daughter if she dated any Moulignons, I would whack them or whatever. And it was just scary. And then in this time around,
well, you know why that is though? That's not because they're racist. It's my parents had this talk with me when I was young, and they were like, we like black people, just don't date them because your kids won't know who they are.
Okay.
So that's why.
All right, I'm starting to understand.
You know what
a
I
little
mean?
bit.
It's like because the kid doesn't know if he's black or if he's white. Meanwhile, my father's like the darkest.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
like
that's the funny thing. If you do a 23andMe, all Italians are like 3% North African anyway. So
really?
like, well,
Yeah.
the southern ones.
Yeah. Makes
I don't know,
sense.
but he came across as very sympathetic, and there's something like very kind of endearing and almost tragic about John A. Gotti, like Jr.,
Mhm.
because he has kind of like this thuggish veneer, having grown up with his father and then spent time in the pen. But he has that kind of like almost like farsighted look from wearing glasses, and he's clearly just like a sensitive, nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a thug.
No.
Right.
He's like Melania Trump. This is a role that he inherited and didn't really want.
Right. He's like would you say he's like Eric or Don Jr. a little bit too? Because I feel like they just don't have that charisma or any,
That the Donald has. Yeah. They're kind of like the McPoyles from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
Okay.
They're just like, they're kind of like the kids are always like weaker than the parents somehow, which is depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like if you're dad, you're never going to like outshine your parents.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like self-made, because Gotti, his dad was a day laborer and he always like resented being poor. He's like a tough kid from East New York, I think.
Was
So
it like Bensonhurst or something? I like that you said that because like when I saw that first interview, 60 Minutes, I was like, this guy's weird and he sucks. He's like
creepy.
Yeah. And then like watching this Amazon docuseries, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of like getting to know him a little bit better, his side of the things.
All right, well, I was going to send this to him, so thanks for saying that he was weird and he sucks.
No, what I'm saying, like the Amazon one made him look much better.
Mhm.
You got to get to know him a little bit better, like why things happen, especially like with his brother, dying when he was in the military academy. You're kind of like, oh, you're just a kid along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he went. I thought it was
He
kind
didn't
of
even
like
have hair on his prick.
Well, okay, can we talk about that? I
Yeah.
want to talk about the story because when you guys did the Chapo episode about the Gotti film, which was like, you guys memorably said that it was like, if Chris Moltisanti was a real guy and he really financed and produced a film, that would be the film.
Yeah.
That was like one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard on Chapo.
Thanks. Adam said that.
Adam said it. Okay,
Yeah.
bravo to Adam. Other than
I
was giving you guys collective credit, but other than when Felix called,
But my lats are better than Adam's, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're a
How
little more
tall
built.
are you?
I'm like 5'8".
You're 5'8". Don't lowball yourself.
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
You're a little tall. Adam's 5'10". I said on the last episode of Red Scare that Adam was like the ideal height, but I was just proxying. It's a good height for a man. Anyway,
Joe Rogan's
yeah.
Joe
and it's
Rogan's
a character
5'8".
on the podcast
Joe Rogan's
anyway.
not 5'8". Joe Rogan has the proportions of a man who's 5'4", 5'6". He's a lying asshole.
Yeah, maybe. I think I heard him say on an episode that he was 5'8", but I think I met him one time and he was shorter than
He
me.
seems tiny.
Yeah. Okay.
But so wait, where were we about the prick? The prick.
Height. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a really brilliant thing. Almost probably even slightly more brilliant than the time that Felix called what's his name, Brett Stevens, the columnist guy, Cold Stone Steve Austin. I really love that.
Oh yeah.
But
Sorry.
but the thing in the movie, right? Like Frankie Boy gets struck and killed by the neighbor's car. The neighbor then mysteriously disappears. Yada yada. But in the movie, John Travolta utters the memorable phrase, like, 12 years old, the kid didn't even have a hair on his prick, which was like such a gross and retarded way to come to terms with your kid's death.
Yeah.
Like your first thought is his penis. Like, what are you, Michael Jackson?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
really
Right.
bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Imagine
the scene
his-
in the docu-series where he's like turning to every soldier, greeting him at the coffin. Didn't even have hair on his
I'm
prick.
sorry, John.
Instead of
Sorry about your hairless prick. Yeah, hairless prick son. Yeah. Does that mean like if the kid died like 7 years later, he'd be like, at least he had a little bit of hair.
His balls dropped.
At least his balls dropped.
But like in the documentary, John A. Gotti Jr. confirms that John Jr. had said this, in fact.
Right.
While he was cleaning the kid's body at the funeral home.
Yeah.
And like, this is the stunning thing about all these anecdotes about John Gotti Jr. And people were like, he was so handsome. He was so charismatic. The man like walked into the room and people turned their heads, like women threw themselves at him. And I'm like, what's his charisma? Like saying like his observations, and like, Mike, close your ears, but this is like Italian American humor in a nutshell. It's like making the most banal observation with the maximum vulgarity.
Yeah. And confidence.
And it's like, what? That's not. I mean, I guess that's a sort of like plebe charisma, which can be hot, but like, it's not.
What's plebe? Like lower class?
Yeah, like. But I'm like, where's the charisma? I mean, the man did have a great head of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a good head of hair. He was very confident.
Yeah,
I know
owned it.
his voice commanded a lot of like authority. I think.
his wave,
but
he had a very regal wave.
Did he?
He kept talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the hair. I guess the hair, the voice. He was like commanding. I think. I don't know. People like always look for leaders, though.
Yeah,
and I feel like
he's a very kind of Trumpian guy, which is funny because like so. Trump's sons, or it was Donald Trump who graduated from the same military academy as John Jr. He had a very like, he was like a kind of proto Trumpian figure in that, like, had he lived and been rehabilitated, maybe he would have like run for office or something.
Yeah, maybe. One can only imagine.
Yeah,
huh?
he had like
President John Gotti. Either that or like maybe like he lives and he runs against Hillary and he's the one who
beats
Hillary.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. But like Giuliani would just be so miffed and humiliated because I love like Giuliani's shtick and like being like the kind of prosecutor of the mob. Because he's effectively a mobster himself,
right.
But like a legitimized mobster. And he was like on his like little Italian American anti-defamation crusade to like prosecute these guys because they gave a bad name to like the rest of the Italians.
Yeah. Which like, that's always funny when people do that. They're like, we don't want to be portrayed as criminals. Like, what do you want to be portrayed as? Because you're either a criminal or you're like, you like fucking install drywall.
Yeah, you're dirt poor.
Yeah. But I guess that was another thing about John Gotti was like in a neighborhood where like you're not anybody. This guy is somebody, and people look at him and they go, "Oh, well, I think that like maybe I can be that. Maybe I don't have to be a loser." You know?
Yeah.
That be a somebody thing.
Because how else do you what?
I was gonna bring up his wedding. I don't want to derail what you're talking
Go ahead.
That be a somebody thing is like so crazy to me because like the kid wanted like a quiet wedding, you know, John Jr. wanted a quiet wedding, and his dad's like, no, I'm somebody, so you're somebody, and that makes your wife somebody. And just that whole mentality of like everybody around you is just as important as you. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I think, I mean, I sympathize with that. He grew up so like poor and like anonymous, and I think he resented his dad because they had like 13 kids, and the dad had a gambling problem.
Yeah.
And like, it's interesting because so he had 12 brothers and sisters. 4 or 5 of his brothers became made guys, but he's kind of like the only one. That's the thing with like stars like Michael Jackson, John Gotti, like from all ends of the spectrum or whatever, like criminal, whatever, legitimate, is that they seem like only children because they're so commanding. This is like a female thing, but what's John Gotti's astrological sign?
Oh, I guess I can look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
I'm curious.
I don't know that much. I don't know much about astrology.
Could he be a Leo? Maybe not.
Why don't we guess?
Yeah, what do you think it is? Because I'm in astrology.
I'll go
Seems like a classic Leo,
Gemini.
but Gem. June 10th.
Isn't it more your moon side? Oh, so I guessed it. He's a Gemini.
Oh, he's a Gemini. Okay. Wait, June 10th. Holy shit. That is my mother's birthday.
Oh.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, much like John Gotti, she's a two-faced bitch.
Yeah, I hope you heard that, Anna's mom.
Yeah.
This is this is just a podcast where we can say how we feel about our parents.
Yeah.
Just air out.
I feel very blessed because my mother has the same birthday as John Gotti, one of my heroes, and my sister has the same birthday as Roger Stone, another one of my heroes.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Roy Cohn actually represented John Jr., John Gotti.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading about Roy Cohn today, and apparently Roger Stone was like, he's not gay. He's just a guy who likes to have sex with men. He's not one of these effeminate queers.
But that's like incredible and accurate because that's how homosexuality was back in the day. It's just like you know, fucked other guys or copped a blow. It's like a Vito from The Sopranos.
Yeah, right.
He's not a fag.
Yeah.
He just gets
It's a
his
joke.
joint copped by men.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, now the whole gay, like post Stonewall gay pride thing is about kind of identifying or like through your sexual identity or orientation, which I think is fundamentally, like, I understand why people do that, but it's fundamentally misguided, right? Because you don't want to lead with your sexuality. That seems dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like more about you
Yeah.
than who you fuck, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more about what you do
It's
than
like
who you do.
right, like a podcast.
That sounds like something you'd say to a judge. You're like, he's not gay, Your Honor, but
Yeah.
he just
So wait,
fucks men occasionally.
So Roy Cohn was gay?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That's crazy. Why
You
are
didn't know that?
No.
He died of AIDS in like the 80s.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He died of AIDS?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let me see. No, because that's when people are like, I wonder if he's when he like got AIDS. They're like, Roy, anything you
Wait,
want to
that's
tell us? Let me
incredible.
look that up.
He
I don't know
like-
much about Roy Cohn, but
his
he seems
face.
to be.
Man,
Look
that would have sucked to been straight and have AIDS in the 80s.
the one guy, yeah.
The misconceptions.
They're like, you're
Yeah.
sir, you're HIV positive. Like, people are gonna think I'm some kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Roy. I guess this is late Roy Cohn.
Oh wow. But he has the most incredible criminal face I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It just like slack and amoral.
Yeah.
And I guess he's another like unifying force between the Trumps and the Gottis.
Yeah.
America's
he
two.
was Trump's like mentor or
yeah.
something, right? Yeah. Nice. I also want to ask about, so it seems like, John Jr. was, he was like, oh, I like my dad. I would have done anything that my dad told me to do. That seems to be a common theme. And I guess I didn't really have that, but that seems to be a common theme in Italian families where it's like you just do whatever your dad does. Because I think guys want somebody, they want like another guy to be like, yeah, I'm going to follow him. That's why I listen to Opie and Anthony so much, I think, when I was a kid, because it's like just listening to, it's just fun to listen to older guys talk. Do women have that where you want to be mentored or guided?
Yeah, we want to follow a guy.
Right.
That's like the whole like failure of feminism where they're
Oh,
like,
yeah, here we
the
go.
patriarchy.
Hell yeah.
And it's like,
This is why we're here. This is we just bullshit. It's like an FBI call where they have
Yeah.
to talk for 7 minutes, but
Yeah.
now they turn it off and we get to do the
Yeah,
real. Yeah. I want to hear Anna trash
Woo.
feminism.
no, I mean, it's just like, I forgot who said this, but it's like men respect men and women respect men
Mhm.
and nobody respects women.
Yeah.
It's like, women want to like glom onto some man and men want to glom onto some man or whatever. It's like, there's a reason that like men kissed John Gotti's ring and chicks kissed his prick. I don't know.
Which had hair on it.
Super
Which had hair
hairy
on it,
prick.
yeah.
It's very hairy prick.
I love that story he told in the doc where he's like, his dad came home, he'd been in prison and he was like 7 or something like that. And he
Yeah.
came home, he like talks to each kid individually to catch up with them. And he goes and sees that John Jr. has a poster of the Mets. He's like, oh, you like the Mets? I like the Yankees.
Yeah,
I ripped that fucking poster right off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what kind of parenting this is, and it's like it's like this sort of parenting, like paternal thing where instead of being like a nice supportive dad, you constantly prank and humiliate your child, and
Yeah.
the idea is that it's supposed to like fortify their character and like make them stronger.
Interesting. I think my grandmother did that.
your grandmother.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. My grandfather did that to my father when he was like 17 or something. My grandfather, much like John Gotti, was like a kind of like serious, tough guy from like a really low income, poverty stricken land who worked his way up through the military, not through any criminal organization, and was basically a military interrogator. And my father turned out to be a nerd. He became an academic, and he, much like the John Gotti Jr. was very kind of like, you know, a guy who he always wore glasses. He was kind of like introspective in his own head and nerdy. And he had the story about how my grandpa pulled a knife on him in an elevator, just like out of the blue to like, you know, strengthen his resolve.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Which is a profoundly creepy thing to do.
Yeah.
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 I just want to tell you I love you.
Made me the man I am today. I remember when I was like 5 years old, my grandmother saw me walking down the stairs and I was going one step at a time. And she goes, "Is that how you walk down the stairs? I'm going to teach you how to walk down the stairs the right way, because you're going to go to kindergarten and everyone's going to say, look at the little baby who can't walk down the steps." And she like made me, take one step per foot.
Yeah. It's like, it's this old school kind of like, Southern, like Mediterranean form of parenting that's like,
you have that a little bit. I think I feel like you sense weakness in people.
It's a contempt for weakness. That's what it is. And that is taken out like pecking order abuse style on children. It's like the husband takes it out on the wife, the wife takes it out on the kids take it out on the pets. It's like a human centipede of contemptuous abuse,
right?
But like it works. I mean, like anything, it's complicated. It's a moral gray area. It doesn't always work, but it works to some extent, and then it fails miserably. But like now in America, you have like the like inverse of that parenting. It's like, Sage, how do you tell us about your feelings? And like the kid is raised like gender neutral.
Yeah,
like
that's why the Chinese are beating us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I feel like that's interesting, because I feel like that's the way you have to be, like, as a guy in a relationship. Sometimes, like, I think guys make the mistake of being like, oh, this is my partner, this is my support system, and I can complain to her and share my feelings, but like, you really can't. You really have to be a strong person in a relationship. You got to be strong for your partner, I think.
Yeah, as a man, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the, women like the
or
silent.
She's gonna cuck your ass.
Gary Cooper type.
Just share screenshots of you complaining.
I really want to, like, if I ever write like a fucking shitty, like
Steve
memoir,
Harvey book.
like
Anna and Steve Harvey write a book together
on some like disgraced imprint.
Yeah.
I just want men to know that the way to keep a woman is to not cry too much about your feelings. You got to keep it in.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to keep it in, and
special occasions only.
Maybe you have like you get your own support system or something, but you can't rely too much, emotionally on your partner, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should be like, of course, you can share stuff together, yada yada.
Sure.
But like, women smell male weakness and they're turned off by it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I feel like that happens a lot. Like sometimes you'll find yourself in a relationship and you feel like you're challenged a little bit, like you're pushed, and you know what I mean? Like she just wants to make sure you're not like a pussy. They have these, like, women sometimes have these tests.
Didn't Steve Harvey write about this?
Maybe, I don't know.
I can hear his voice in my head right now.
He wrote about, like, I think he wrote about like testing women or something. Yeah, women kind of like submit you to a series of like private judgments. They're like, it's like being like a circus animal, and you have to like jump through the flaming hoop,
right, to score points.
Yeah.
Well, because Anna came to my Christmas party a couple months ago, and she walked in and she goes, "Why do you have 3 types of donuts?" And I felt like I need to like justify why.
Well, I thought your friends brought
my friends
three
brought
different
them,
types of donuts.
Dan St. Germain showed up like all frowsy. He was like, "Hey, how's it going? Here's some donuts." And he just had like a box of Dunkin' Donuts that I think he just got right off the train. Jesus. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
potluck.
I was like,
just 3 different
I
donuts.
was like, I like donuts, you fucking Russian.
You coos.
Yeah.
These are my friends. And how dare you disrespect what they bring?
Yeah. Wait, so let's talk about that a little more. That contempt for weakness, because I feel like society nowadays is like, you got to share your feelings, and is your mental health okay, and is your, and I don't know, maybe that's just not a good way to live your life.
I mean, like, look, it's like any sort of like meter that goes to and fro like from extremes, like any extreme is like pathological, and like pathology exists on a spectrum. It's like
Sure.
something that's normal brought to an extreme becomes pathological. I think like oversharing your feelings is probably corrosive to like sustaining a woman's confidence in you.
Right.
I don't know. It's like a really kind of like ineffable, intangible thing.
No, I understand what you're saying. If you overshare, it's gross. But if you undershare, it's like there could be something wrong, but we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you undershare, basically, if you undershare, also, it's like a form of weakness and insecurity. So you have to like find the happy medium, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no woman wants to date a pussy.
Right. Yeah, and also like I don't know, but you have to find some kind of other outlet for like sharing the way you, because there's a lot of times when I'm like, I'm a fucking loser. I've been doing this thing for a long time, and I'm a failure, but I don't tell Deb any of that stuff.
Right. How do you get it out?
I just keep it in, and then I just beat a homeless
you
man.
Beat her?
Yeah, I beat her. Yeah, you see all these holes in the wall.
Well, that's the thing that like remember the part in the Gotti doc where like the kid is struck and killed by the driver, and John Jr. is like ruminating on his father's reaction because he has no reaction. He's like totally emotionless, and he's like, what kind of monster has no reaction to his son's death? And then he catches him in like the den in a private moment sobbing.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Does that turn you on a little bit?
A little. I don't know. I'm a little freaked out by Gotti. I can't say that I find this man particularly compelling or attractive.
Okay.
Right. But crying in your own private study, though, that's if you're gonna cry and be a man.
Boss move.
Right.
You like shed a single tear while biting your fist.
Yeah.
This is where I cry. This podcast is just a
This is your
room.
studio?
My cry room. So yeah, I also wanted to. So there's an interesting story. Well. So another thing they bring up in the documentary is like that. There's something about Italian culture where like the people aren't really honest about the way they feel. Like if you're happy, you don't let people know. If you're sad, you don't really let people know. And there's a lot of lies.
Yeah.
And
if you're poor, you act wealthy. If you're wealthy, you
play it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference. That's the fundamental difference between like Jews and Italians. Because it's true, like Jews call you up and they want to gab about their feelings, and they have this very like psychoanalytic mode that actually that's why they're so into like Freud and psychoanalysis and stuff, because I think the religion is like inherently more skeptical than Catholicism, and they just like love to talk about their feelings and emotions and their fucking neuroses and medical conditions. It's like I have seborrheic dermatitis, Maury. And Italians are like essentially repressive, and so are Armenians. I mean, I feel like as an Armenian person, a lot of commonality with Italians, and that like we look alike. We're also similar to Jews, but like dumber than Jews. And it's, I don't know. I mean, do you have that in your famiglia?
What?
This like repressive thing?
Yeah, I think so. I remember one night my mom went to see Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, and she was just very chatty. She was like, you shouldn't keep secrets because they always come out. And then she goes, your cousin Mike isn't your uncle's son. She just told me that like my cousin had been adopted, and my uncle adopted my cousin because he married my aunt, and she had my cousin from previous marriage, and they just never like acknowledged that he was
half black.
yeah, he was. Oh, I always wondered why we had half a Moulignon in our family. And
So
now
you
makes
remember
sense.
every single part of Yaya's sisterhood now?
Yeah, well, I guess my mother does.
Oh, okay. I thought you went with her. Okay.
But yeah, I think there is. I don't think we. I mean, we don't talk in my family. So when I'm home, I'll try to talk to my dad about anything, but there's just nothing to. We don't really share anything. My mom, I guess, a little bit, but not really. Not really. One time, there was a Simpsons episode, and I watched Homer and Marge are like, they're naked and they're making out, and I was like, Mom, do people do that? And she was like, yeah, but I hate being naked.
That's Freudian.
Yeah, is it? But you don't want to have one of those open families that like talks about fucking all the time.
Yeah.
That's
No,
bizarre.
like one of those Scandinavian families where they all pile into the bathtub together.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Come on, kids. It's so good.
I mean, Bjork wrote
It's
a whole
best
song
time.
about it. Birthday, which is incidentally also about being molested as a child.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of diddling. There must be a lot of diddling going on in those like egalitarian societies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where you got to share all the bath water.
Yeah,
This is
with
the
your
necessity.
dad
Yeah.
and his like shriveled nutsack. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is more often than not, this is the norm. Like the whole cordial relations with your family thing, which I don't have. Like my mom is completely inappropriately intrusive.
Uh-huh.
And I can call her up and be like, Mom, like I smoked crack and had an abortion last week. And she's like, you go, girl.
Well, you can't have a crack baby.
No.
You got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it like it's Norway and it's a kid with Down syndrome. I heard they do that now. I think Norway, like they can tell if a baby has Down syndrome and they can abort it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm moving to Norway.
You would abort if you had a baby.
I'm in my 30s and I'm
Yeah.
looking to have children, and I don't want.
You don't want a 50-year commitment.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the hook with a disabled.
Oh, they live
child.
longer than that,
Yeah.
my friend.
well, hopefully you die by then if you're
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Oh
no, they're like cockroaches.
There was actually a
Um,
story out of like Armenia a couple of years ago. There's this guy who is like an American, like gringo dude, went to Armenia on some like Peace Corps Teach for America shit, knocked up an Armenian woman. She had a baby with Down syndrome and she gave it up for adoption. He like flipped, took the baby and raised it and took it to America and raised it. And people were like piling on and vilifying this poor woman
Mhm.
for giving up her child. And I was like,
right.
I don't blame her.
Mhm.
Who wants that in an
Right.
impoverished country?
And that
Yeah.
child now is Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
They're so horny too, kids with Down syndrome.
Are they?
Yeah, they're pretty. My brother was on a baseball team, and there was a kid, John, who was on the team for a long time, and he would always talk about women and his girlfriends, and yeah,
And he had Down syndrome?
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
It's
he
that
liked-
retard strength.
Right.
Remember,
He
do
was
you
like a
guys...
DH.
What?
He was a designated hitter. You don't
he,
want him.
he actually was.
yeah,
Yeah,
of course he was.
Yeah.
Do
Sorry.
you guys remember like Funkmaster Flex? He had this segment called like Midnight Confessions, and people would call in with like these crazy tales of sexual debauchery. This one woman was like, like I had sex with my cousin, and he was like, okay, that's weird and fucked up.
Is it that weird? I don't know.
And then she was like,
First
well,
cousin?
there's more.
Yeah.
He's retarded.
Oh.
And it was
Like,
really
whoa.
good because he was strong.
Drop a
Uh-huh.
bomb.
Oh, okay.
Oh no!
Oh.
Okay, there's 3 twists in
He
that
was
caller.
laying the pipe.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Well, everyone has something to teach you, I think.
Right.
And
Sure, that's like having a sex robot.
mhm.
You know who else married their first cousin is Paul
you-
Castellano,
Oh, okay.
the boss of the Gambino crime
The
family
Gambino family.
that John Gotti famously had whacked at Sparks Steakhouse in
Right.
Midtown Manhattan. I think the best part of that documentary was the lawyer. I think his name was Bruce Cutler.
Yeah.
Oh, he was incredible.
He's just a scumbag.
He's like,
But
if you see a bunch of guys in fur hats and trench coats walking at you in Midtown New York, you would be alarmed. This isn't Moscow. You're like freaking out.
right. Somebody said that at the trial too. They were like, "He's not getting a fair trial. This is worse than Russia."
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but I think that kind of brings me to like our next point, and it's that you kind of have to like. Do you ever wonder why like everybody knows John Gotti's name and not some of these other guys and
not Willie Boy Johnson,
not Willie Boy Johnson
or Raymond Patriarca. I know all these names because I'm such a fucking loser mob buff.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why do people know his name. I mean, I think he was like a Donald Trump kind of guy because he courted publicity and he like wore the $2,000 Brioni suits and like.
And he got off 3 times.
Yeah,
Teflon Don.
Which here's the thing. My suspicion is that he was way less charismatic than people think he was, and also that he got off because the criminal justice system bungled that somehow, not because he was so great and his lawyers were so tremendous. Like,
right.
I seriously doubt Bruce Cutler is a good lawyer.
Yeah, probably not. He's just confident and convincing. Well, it's funny when you look at the FBI agents that were assigned to like stop him. It's all these like kind of quiet Midwestern. Like that guy Bruce Mao is very.
He was so pissed. Everybody loved him.
Well, yeah, but he's very like soft spoken guy from Nebraska. I don't think you could even like smoke weed to be in the FBI. Nobody. It doesn't seem like any FBI agents have any kind of like street knowledge. They're just kind of like.
Except for John Connolly, who was the guy who was assigned to like mind Whitey Bulger in Boston as like there's all this speculation about Whitey Bulger, right? Like whether or not he was a police informant.
I think he was. I think that's pretty
well. So I watched a documentary where they made a pretty convincing argument that in fact he was not, and that he was protected by these guys because they had to cover up their own kind of like crimes and elevating him to informant status. And if the FBI in fact got caught wind of the fact that he was not an informant, their jobs would have been on the line. And he was seen kind of now in retrospect, he's seen as like the rat of rats because he was knocking off guys who were rats, but he was the biggest rat of all.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, conceivably, these guys were basically taking money from him. He claims that he was paying them and not the other way around. I don't know. I think probably the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Probably.
Sure.
But those guys, I think John Connolly got like 25 years or something because he was like an FBI dude, and he was like a charismatic, streetwise dude who was like breaking bread with mobsters.
Yeah. I mean, that does happen a lot. A lot of these FBI guys, they sort of like become too close with some of these guys in the mob, and they like become friends with them.
Yeah, I guess that was the plot of Donnie Brasco. I don't know. I don't remember that movie.
Oh, was it? Yeah. But I think also like, I mean, just going back to why people like John Gotti, it does seem like I don't know, maybe I'm naive for believing this, but it does seem like there was kind of like a sense of community with him, and he lived in a modest house on Howard Beach, and like it wasn't that big, and I don't know, it just seemed like he liked people, and to some extent sort of cared about other people, and thought he had a role as like, the sort of a
like the mayor of Howard
like the
Beach.
Mayor of Howard Beach, yeah.
That seems like super Italian, inviting everybody into your home and being like, let's cook enough for everybody. Let's make it like the family oriented.
Well, not everybody.
Right.
Some people
wink, wink.
are not invited. Yeah.
Not the rats.
Not the rats.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's this idea, right, that he didn't kill women, that he was kind of like a righteous or like moral gangster who lived by a moral code. I mean, I don't know how true any of that is.
Right.
I think if you're a criminal, you're a criminal. But I also don't know like what the evidence is for him being kind of like a community figure. Like, did he really help the community? Was he like Hamas or Hezbollah providing healthcare to the indigents?
Yeah. I do know they did like big celebrations every time he got off. He got like fireworks and stuff. So every time he got off, his star only grew,
Yeah, they loved him. I think people loved him because that he was like their local celebrity, like a guy who came
Right.
from nothing and like rose
Yeah, and
through
it's
the
a guy
ranks.
who like kind of reminds you of yourself a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah, and you
know?
hate the.
It's like when I
cops.
see Sebastian Maniscalco. It's Madison Square
that?
Garden. He's this comic. He's like a very successful
He's like super
Italian comic who sold out the Garden. You know, you watch that and you're
Right.
like, that could be me.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, you should. I think you would like his stuff.
He's
It's
really funny. Yeah.
All right. What is the name?
Sebastian Maniscalco. He's
Okay.
very animated and like, yeah, but
That's Italians for you.
he's right.
Talk with their hands.
Yeah, I'm not though. I didn't get that charisma for some reason. I don't know. I'm kind of introverted and autistic. What is charisma? What is
It's
I don't
act
know.
outs.
No, yeah, like I don't know. How do you define it? Because I feel like it always kind of like eluded
Gosh,
me.
that's a good question. I think it's like porn. You know it when you see it. It's
Right.
like hard to define though.
Yeah. Yeah, like who are the most charismatic people you would say, like, I mean, in your lifetime? Maybe like Obama, Jack Nicholson.
When I think of charismatic people, I always think of like who would be the best at like a fancy dinner. Like who's gonna like make the waitress laugh while still like talking to everybody. You know what I mean?
Roger Stone, obviously.
Roger Stone's
Roger
charismatic. Yeah, our boy.
Yeah, you know that's the type of person that I think of.
Yeah.
And like charisma's a weirdly like male dominated thing. Like some women have charisma, but not as much as like men do in a way.
it's
You
all
don't think
masculine
of-
women that have it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like feminine women, I guess, are like sexy or cute or charming, but they're not necessarily like charismatic. It is like a male thing. And I guess like there's a lot of men. I mean, like I think Donald Trump has a modicum of like he has like the retard strength equivalent of charisma.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yeah, maybe it comes down to like some weird mixture of like libido and bravery, like the
Yeah.
bravery to say whatever's on your mind, even though you're like wrong most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
does seem to go with
sometimes
charisma.
because sometimes it's like if you're wrong but you're confident about it, people it's still there's still like a credibility. I think.
Yeah. How do you think I have my podcasting empire?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's like there was one FBI agent in a documentary I watched that was otherwise really shitty that I was telling you guys about. That was like called like The Men of Cosa Nostra or something that I watched because I had tapped out. I watched all the good mob docs, and this was like really like last on the
Bottom of the
list.
barrel,
The
yeah.
bottom of the barrel. And there was one FBI agent there who was like, John Gotti was a real dumbass. Every other word of like
Giuliani said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like every other
He
word
goes,
that came
I
out
thought
of
the
his
Teflon
mouth.
Don was a basic idiot.
Yeah, he was an idiot. I mean, look, he prefaced everything with like fuck or motherfucker or something, and there's his charisma.
Yeah.
He like swore a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's also something about him like that when you watch that footage of him like on Christmas and his grandson's giving him the gift and he's like, oh, thank you. Like there's like a warmth to him, I think.
Yeah, which was weird to see actually in the footage because I
Yeah.
always thought of him as like a totally like hardened criminal.
Right.
But he was kind of a family man. Like he stayed with his wife forever. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
he like
Right.
stepped
Family.
out on
Which
her, but
it's hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a dead son brings you
It's
together.
hard to fuck the same woman for a long time. I'm not complaining, but
but is it though?
what?
Is it?
No, maybe
That's
yes
nice.
and no.
It's nice.
That's it. This isn't. I think.
I'm not gonna find anybody hotter than Deb. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, Deb's pretty hot. I'm not gonna. But this is a thing that I think is like kind of a myth that men are more unfaithful than women.
Oh,
I think men are like, as Amber put it, like if a guy was given the choice, he would eat at the same restaurant every day, provided it was a restaurant he liked and it was good and like fit the bill. Whereas like women are always like, honey, can we try sushi today? Let's try the new Ethiopian place.
yeah.
Right.
Let's go to a cocktail bar.
I'm
Right.
picturing each ethnicity of the restaurant you just said.
And they're like,
And Ethiopian food, I gotta say, it's not very good.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Picturing Deb cheating on him with a Chinese man. how bad
I'm sorry.
would that kill you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, then you're horny again 20 minutes later
You
after
could-
you fuck a Chinese man. Am I right?
Yeah. Well,
All right. Let's wrap up. What are you saying?
I don't remember.
Okay. But yes, I don't know.
I think you're right. That makes sense. Like men, I love routine and yeah, like eating at the same restaurant. Literally, I do that.
I think men walk around and see hot women on the street and like compulsively picture them naked. That I believe. But like I think if given the opportunity, like the opportunity cost is too high. Plus, having more than one woman at a time is like a headache because one woman is a headache enough. You don't want to have like a Kumar on top of that.
Right. I come here for relief from my fucking family, and you're giving me problems.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I'll never know what that's like.
But that's the thing that I really don't understand about Islam, because when I first started learning about Islam, like they get 4 wives, right? According to the Quran. Yeah, you can have up to 4 wives.
Okay.
And then you get like 92 virgins when you die.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 72.
Oh, 72. You're right.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's irrelevant.
Somebody doesn't join.
And I'm but I'm just
if they
like,
botch the suicide mission, you get another guy's. You get part of another guy's 72 virgins.
Yeah, they divvy them up.
They divvy them up. Yeah.
But it's like after a certain point, like the marginal like benefit of having another virgin goes down lower and lower, like approaches 0. Like how many different chicks do you need?
Right.
And like having 4 wives seems like a fucking headache. Not a wife and a mistress and then 2 little sluts that you bang out on the side. 4 wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Well, I think there has to be like a rank, you have to have them.
Oh, here we go.
There is. I mean, I'm sure there is, like, and I'm sure they form their own alliances. There's like the young hot wife.
Yeah.
Sounds like
then
a
there's
TV
like
show.
the elder wife. Yeah, I mean, Mormons have that too, right?
Yeah.
Polygamists. They have how many? They have an unlimited number of wives.
I don't think they have a pecking order though. But if they did, that's fucking
well,
no, I don't think
I'm gonna fix Mormonism.
No, they don't have an official pecking order, but of course, in any sort of
Subconscious.
family dynamics, they emerge and people start like manipulating and bullying each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have a pretty big house to have 4 wives, 4 families.
Yeah, you do. That's why the Saudis do it right, because they're all like oil rich.
Right, they do it right.
They can pull it off.
Yeah, they do it right.
I guess the idea of like being with like a new person, that's nice. Just fucking someone that you haven't fucked before.
I mean, the thought's probably better than actually
The
doing
reality,
it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because then you got to like take them to Applebee's and stuff.
Yeah, you may as well get a hooker. It's like Charlie Sheen said, I don't pay for sex, I pay them to leave.
Right. Nice.
But I texted you this. Did you know that John Gotti's wife was half Russian Jewish?
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Vicky Senior was, I think her dad was some sort of like garment worker or something.
Okay.
And she was like hot-headed and fiery and like would do anything for her children, yada yada. But I thought that was like really interesting that she wasn't like purely Italian.
Yeah.
Which seems blasphemous.
Right.
Yeah, you traditionally like the mistresses are from Slavic countries.
Right.
And that's how the wives prefer it.
Right.
You have like a Ukrainian mistress because they're seen as lower.
Yeah.
On the,
Now, which half do you think attacked the guy with the baseball bat? The Jewish,
the Italian side, obviously.
Yeah.
The Jewish side is like too busy trying not to get sued.
Well, that was another funny story because there was a guy that ran over Gotti's son with his car, and then they said like, finally, my mother couldn't take it anymore, and she like
he was having
the
like
guy.
a party or something near them
in the back.
Yeah.
Their yards touched.
Yeah, that's insane. I was like, I started to understand where she was coming from. I was like, oh, I would kill this guy if he had a party after he killed my son.
Well, he said something rude to her. I think he said, well, maybe your kid shouldn't have been in the road or some shit like that.
Yeah, but do you think that might have been a lie? Because who would say something like that?
Yeah, maybe. You're right. That seems a little far-fetched.
Because Angel Gotti was like, I heard that he said, why was your effing son on that bike to begin with? And it's like, yeah, I'm sure he said that to the wife of the boss of the Gambino family.
Yeah.
I think people just, but that was a weird thing too, because the guy ran over Gotti's son, and then like, so what I heard, what Frank Terranova tells me is that a bunch of other mobsters were like, don't go to the funeral, like leave town. They told him to leave town. And the guy didn't show up at the funeral, and the Gotti family thought that was like insulting.
Oh, that guy who ran over the kid?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would he go to the funeral of the kid who he killed?
To say sorry.
I guess that seems insulting too.
Yeah, like what a neurotic decision to make.
What would you do? I mean, you gotta apologize.
I would
somehow.
think about it. I would probably go to them and be like, "Do you want me to go?"
I would fucking take my family and get the fuck out of town. I'd go to Florida or something.
Yeah.
That sounds like a better option than what
I don't know.
said.
I mean, like, it's a really shitty situation, but I think it was like, it's really beautiful because there's this idea that like, you know, art is kind of like more dramatic and extreme than real life. But I thought I was thinking about this like in terms of The Sopranos. I was actually talking about it with my sister, like how in the kind of TV version of the Gotti saga, The Sopranos, the kid just grows up to be a fail son. Like his son, he's just party promoter, druggy loser. In real life, his son actually gets struck by the neighbor, which is kind of both tragic and comic because it's like the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I think everything happens for a reason from New Jersey. It's karmic. No, but it's karmic retribution for all of his crimes that his beloved son would get hit in such a tragic and meaningless and pathetic, absurdist way.
Well, we're not sending this episode to John Jr.
No,
I'll
I know.
tell you that much.
Sorry, you can cut this.
No, that's fine. No, it's yeah, maybe. I felt like that too because a couple weeks ago I was like stealing a bunch from Home Depot because it's easy. You just go to the self checkout.
Oh yeah.
But then I like lost a bunch of money. I lost like $500. I had an envelope with cash in it that like fell out of my pocket.
Oh, that's like where?
I don't know. I was like gonna drop it off and then it just fell out of my. I went to go drop it off and it wasn't there.
Huh?
But what are you gonna do?
I would totally think you were lying if I was your boss.
Why are you dropping off money? Because you in the mob?
The moving company, like we get paid cash and we drop off the but it's cool, right? Anyway, folks. So don't steal from Home Depot, everybody. That's the point. Here's another thing too, because so Gotti originally so the Carlo Gambino, his nephew was kidnapped, and then Gotti found the guy. So they Carlo Gambino paid the ransom, but then they killed the nephew anyway. So then Gotti headed up this hit squad. He found the guy. They go into the bar where he's drinking, and two of Gotti's associates are pretending to be cops, and they go up to this guy Jimmy McBratney, and they're like, excuse me, you need to come with us for questioning. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you fucking jokers aren't cops.
Yeah.
And then Gotti just gets mad and just kills the guy at the bar in front of everybody.
But doesn't kill the barmaid.
Right.
Yeah.
People were so naive. And
you think he did?
No, he didn't, because she dimed him out.
Right.
I mean, he let her. So he really didn't kill the women.
Yeah.
Which, like, that wouldn't fly nowadays. Nowadays, you kill everybody.
You gotta kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's got a cell phone camera and
you're like, kids, cover your eyes. Yeah. So he killed this guy, these Irish gangsters that were like running amok.
Yeah.
And
no, it's just funny that like he tried to hatch this like scheme where they're like, oh, we're cops, and then he was like,
right. That's charisma, though.
That's crazy.
Getting angry and just shooting a guy in the face.
In the face.
Well,
in public.
I think it's because they were trying to like take him to a second location and torture him, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to just blow his brains out. So that Jimmy McBratney really like lucked the fuck out.
Yeah.
He didn't get any pliers or any like.
He got the old Tony B treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick death.
Didn't she like, wasn't the bartender's like initial reaction to pick up a phone and he's just like, put that phone down.
Yeah.
And like that was it.
And my father said, put that phone down, sweetheart. And she said, okay, here's my number. He's covered in blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the John Gotti Jr. plea deal and his like re-entry into civilian life?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We should cover that.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. It seems like he got pretty lucky. He loves Indians too. He's got an Indian room in his house.
Like,
what does that mean?
like Native
TP or
American.
Slurpee?
TP Slurpee.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
He's got a dedicated to like Native Americans.
Okay.
That's like the advanced version of Feather or Dot.
Right. Yeah, but I guess that was
it's
like a big moment when he had to go to the prison and talk to and tell his dad he was gonna take
gay.
a deal. Yeah, right. You might as well be a fanook.
No son of mine, be a man.
He had a poster of a man in his room. He's like, I like women.
Yeah.
Went and tore that poster down.
Or he just told his dad he was gay to not tell him that he was becoming a witness. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that must have been really hard.
Yeah.
And the dad was resistant.
Yeah.
And it's on camera too. They're
Yeah.
in a prison, so that's got to be weird. Didn't they have to like talk around stuff? You know, like I'm sure they didn't give up all.
They had to talk around John Gotti's massive head and neck tumors because
Right.
he was like really kind of at the end.
Right. Yeah, I guess that was like a big moment, but then because he was resistant, he was like, if I rob the church and they catch me with the steeple up my ass, I'm still saying I didn't do it. And he really did have like a commitment to this life that I think most people don't have.
Which one?
John Senior, I guess,
To being
junior,
to being a criminal,
a street guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had his own like parallel. Yeah, I suppose he had a parallel code of honor to like normal civilians or whatever. But like the son just really wasn't cut out for it, I guess. So I respect that he like kind of like held it down and maintained and was like he was running the Gambino crime family when the dad was away.
Yeah. 25 too.
At 25, yeah.
Yeah, because then after a while he was like, well, if this is what you want to do, then I guess I support you. There's another story about John Gotti Jr. He tried to kill Curtis Sliwa, the leader of the Guardian Angels.
Is that for real? Do you think he tried to kill that guy?
I don't know. He did get shot in the stomach.
Right.
Yeah.
But that guy was a notorious like ambulance chaser. He made up a lot of like
yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Do you think like John Gotti Jr. would be such a retard as to like go after that guy? Like, don't you go after like serious adversaries?
Yeah, but man, I don't know. He's not the smartest guy, and you have a bunch of people at your disposal to kill people.
That's true. It's
kind of gay,
him.
right? Being in the Guardian Angels.
It is. He started the Guardian Angels.
Yeah.
He was like the original kind of like woke male ally before the times of Twitter, you know? Like he was like, ma'am, like let me protect you.
Right.
And then it turned out that he was like a total hack and an asshole.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of
much
like,
unlike nowadays, right?
Yeah.
with the virtue signaling.
Yeah, totally. Are there any other like cool things about the Gottis that we forgot to cover? I don't know.
I don't know. You know, it's I mean, I'm more interested in getting your take on them and on the movie too, if you want. We did Jimmy McBratney. We did the story about. I mean, you do kind of wonder if like this stuff is true, but I kind of like the story about when Gotti was young. He robbed Willie Boy's warehouse, and then he showed up and he was like, "I heard you're looking for me," and he pulled out a gun. He was like, "I'll put 2 fucking bullets in your head right now." Do you think that story's true?
No, that guy would have killed him on the spot.
Yeah.
They were like, I mean, maybe they were sitting around unarmed, but like if some like young hood came up to me and was like trying to like
he's got to go,
assert
right?
himself on my fucking turf, that would not fly. No way, no how.
Right. Yeah, if someone started like a podcast where you know, where they were like, moving in on your Patreon numbers, they got to go.
That happened to us. These nobody's moving in on the Patreon numbers, but like we have that racket cornered. But some girl started like a podcast that was like inspired by our podcast, which I've never listened to, but it was like a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm just like, get your own kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, nobody invented some guy invented the form of the podcast, but
thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this guy Willie Boy Johnson was half Native American.
Yeah.
He was kind of hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have weird taste.
I do have weird taste. Anyway, the movie the movie. You guys both. Well, you watched the movie.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen
No,
it.
I was gonna make a joke like I watched the documentary, but I watched the movie. But I saw the documentary. I didn't see the movie.
I think the movie is like kind of it's like a stylized but almost like verbatim gloss of the interviews with the Sun. Like all that prick stuff happens, all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like I feel like there's so little to say about the movie because like the Chapo episode really covered it in depth.
Yeah. Wait, I want to say,
how did Travolta do? I mean,
Travolta's the fucking man, and he's the best. I don't care how many masseuses he tries to jack off.
I did see it's on.
He's a great entertainer.
Now, so I'm excited.
Is it?
He did that?
What?
He tried to.
Yeah, he tries to get male masseuses to jack him off.
Nice.
That's why he's a Scientologist. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
His real life wife played Vicky Gotti.
Vicky Gotti, yeah.
And his son also died in a weird freak boating accident when he was like 12. So he has a lot of commonality with John Gotti.
Right.
But I saw an interview with.
I wonder if Travolta's kid had hair on his prick.
Did he? I think he was developmentally challenged or like autistic or something.
Yeah. Well, they still get hair on their pricks.
Well, they do. Yeah. That's
They're
karmic
fucking machines. I don't know if you knew this.
That's like karmic retribution for John Travolta being gay. That his son is autistic.
God was like, I don't like when people aren't honest about their sexuality. I'm going to make your son retarded. And then God was mad again and he killed him.
Yeah. Definitely so.
Yeah.
That's Old Testament?
Right. Yeah, that's Old Testament.
He had like a little interview segment in the documentary, right, where he was like, I've played gangsters before, but like never on this level. Mm-hmm. And he also went to one of Victoria Gotti Jr.'s son's weddings. Like John Travolta was there. So he's like friendly with the family.
Wow.
Where's he from?
Travolta?
I think he's from Jersey.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay.
What other gangsters has he played? I know he was that bad guy in Swordfish with the soul patch. Do you remember that guy?
I don't know. I mean,
Vincent Vega, I guess.
He played Vincent Vega, but that guy wasn't like a gangster. He was like a 2-bit hitman. That's probably his best role, right? Vincent
Englewood,
Vega.
New Jersey.
Oh.
In Bergen County.
Do you know where that's like North Jersey?
Yeah, that's Englewood is that's like right across the GW.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I'm like trying to think of other fun Gotti trivia that I can't remember now.
Yeah. Do you think what do you think hardened you more, being Armenian or being from New Jersey?
Hardened me?
Yeah, what do you think made you who you are more?
the hard person you are. Yeah.
Yeah, the tough person that you are.
My parents' shitty parenting.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my parents. They're brilliant people, but they really had a contempt for weakness and
right.
Nice.
There wasn't any like knife in the elevator moments.
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
What did your dad do when he got a knife pulled on him?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume he was.
What do you do? He's like, whoa.
You make crack a joke real fast?
Yeah.
I love you, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because like I feel like every subsequent generation is kind of like diluted or weakened.
Sure.
Like you take somebody like you have somebody like even in a criminal family, like you have John Gotti, who was like a tough guy from the streets. You have Junior, who is like some like a local Jersey nerd who likes cars and bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And you have like Junior, who's like an MFA or MMA. He has an MFA in literature. He's an MMA fighter, which is like tough, but also kind of gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like Victoria Gotti's kids are losers. They're like true religion losers.
Yeah.
Like where do you go as the scion of a crime family? My feeling is that the only legitimate way to like best your father is to go into politics, to get super legitimate, but be kind of like a political thug.
Okay.
Right. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, which is kind of what Giuliani did, even though he's like a pathetic and laughable figure in the end.
Right. I think the best thing to do is just have a father that you have no respect for. Then you can
That's
carve your
easier,
own,
right?
you can carve your own path. Yeah.
Hey kids, be like me.
Yeah, you just listen to Anthony Cumia for hours a day. That shapes your worldview. Cool. Well, I guess we can wrap up here. Anything else? Any other?
What's your usual podcast runtime?
It's about an hour.
About an hour.
An
change.
hour. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. See, we're doing an hour now too, which is remarkable.
Yeah. A shorter podcast is good sometimes. It's more digestible.
Yeah, well, wanted to listen to the Joe Rogan Alex Jones thing because I love both of them.
Yeah,
and
how long is that?
It's like 4 hours long. Like, fuck
okay.
that shit.
Yeah.
I asked my aunt about Alex Jones. I was like, "Do you listen to him?" And she was like, "I used to, but not anymore."
Why? Because of the Sandy Hook thing?
I guess. And then like she said something about Michelle Obama being a man to my other aunt.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's really
there's a
hard
theory
to follow.
that Michelle Obama's a man. I guess she heard that on Alex Jones.
Oh.
She heard that listening to Alex Jones. She's a 66-year-old woman who's
Have you-
who's listening to
racist.
Alex Jones. Yeah.
Have you heard that YouTube video? It's like Alex Jones is like a Bon Iver song. It's just like
Oh yeah, it's pretty
so
funny.
good.
Yeah, but you know what, folks? What's the world without a couple, without some scumbags? You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, check out listen to Red Scare. I listen every episode.
That's really sweet of you, Mike. Or don't listen to Red Scare, but just pretend you do and tell your friends.
Yeah. Somebody recently told me it was a bad podcast for the world. I was telling them they should listen to it.
Who said that?
Some cunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Do you have a name for us?
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Somebody who's like a loser, someone who's kind of a loser.
Well,
Copy that.
But I don't see how is it? I don't. What is a why? Like why?
Why are they? Yeah, it's just like it's not for you. So just shut your fucking mouth. And
well, I think like I don't know. I mean, you guys
That's
are like
right.
mercifully outside of this fold, but I think like was this woman a self-identified leftist?
Maybe.
Okay. I think like among leftists, they have like a very binaristic view of the world where you're either like a progressive or a conservative. And
Yeah.
if you happen to be a progressive who says things that they don't agree with or that sort of like break their brain, they I think slot you into the conservative section and can't really handle it. Yeah. And it's always like kind of like the touchy subject. They're always like the big one being like immigration, which is like the one where even people who you generally like can trust to have a good take on something break down because it's like they're terrified of their own psyches or whatever. The funniest thing that ever happened to me was that my best friend was at a strip club and some girl was complaining to him about the podcast, kind of like not knowing the association or whatever.
She wasn't tipping the girls.
And she wasn't tipping the girls.
Yeah.
Did I tell you the story?
I saw it on your Instagram.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, dude.
How are you a champion of the working class if you don't tip the strippers?
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to go on that rant.
Speaking of your Instagram, that hot Hillary photo with her cleavage.
Oh, from Spy Magazine? Oh,
yes.
The Photoshop,
So,
yeah.
I died. I died when I saw that.
They don't make magazine covers like they used to.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I miss the good old days where misogyny was allowed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring it back a little bit. You know,
Piece
that's
by
what
piece.
that's what podcasting is. We're like samurais.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You're
so
like kamikaze freedom fighters.
Yeah.
yeah, so go rate Red Scare and download a bunch of episodes on your mom's iPad.
Hell yeah.
Share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Although sometimes, like, I mean, Deb and I watched Weekend at Bernie's last night, and I kind of get what people are complaining about because that movie wasn't very good, and it's very like white male perspective, kind of boring. I thought.
Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just like it's like two guys hauling around the corpse of their boss.
Yeah.
To be on vacation, right?
Yeah.
That's that. The premise is great enough for me.
Yeah, but he
it's
doesn't
fine.
die until like an hour into the movie. Anyway.
Oh, okay. But there's a Weekend at Bernie's too, right?
Yeah, and I think he's still dead, and they're still dragging him around.
Yeah.
It's great.
We'll watch that one next time. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. If you sent me pasta sauce orders, I probably didn't respond to your email, and I apologize, but I'll get on that. Come see me and Adam. We'll be in Chicago, Milwaukee, Eau Claire, and Minneapolis, hopefully. And support us on Patreon, and tell your friends about the show.
Rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. And
email the show.
sitdownpod@gmail.com. Matt's mother's address is 9.
So up to her door.
Yeah. And Anna, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time. And thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.